Hello everybody. Today I will be talking about the pros and cons as well as the similarities between the two food delivery companies, Uber Eats and Postmates. Now, when I'm talking about these, I'm going to be talking about them from a delivery driver's point of view. So, if you're looking for the differences between Postmates and Uber Eats when you're ordering, this is not the video that you want to watch. This video is for people who want to be a delivery driver and they're not sure which one they want to go with. So I'm going to be talking about some pros and cons for each company, as well as the similarities that they both have. So now when I'm talking about these, I'm going to be showing you a quick video. Well, I don't know how quick it's going to be. This video might be a little bit long, but I feel like it's necessary to be thorough. So the video you're going to be seeing right here in the middle of the screen here is going to be looped throughout my discussion of each similarity and everything for each company. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it and not ramble on here. So this video I recorded from my phone. This is Postmates. When you're a delivery driver, as you can see, there are red hotspots all around the city. I am in Houston, so they're showing you the different hotspots, and what those are the major areas where a lot of people are requesting food to be delivered from. So if you drive to those locations, you are most likely to be getting a job request to go and pick up an order. So as you can see, there's dark red ones and light red ones. You probably can already guess that the dark red ones are the better of the areas. As you can see, when you scroll out to the different cities, I haven't tried it in other cities like Austin. I haven't tried it in those cities, so I don't know if it would work to go and deliver in those areas as well. I'm pretty sure you can, but now there's a blue outline there. I'm assuming that means that that's the delivery area you could deliver to. It may be different in your city, and I'm not even sure what cities Postmates are even available in. Now, if you look in the settings here, it gives you an option to choose the kind of vehicle you're delivering with, as well as you could deliver on bike or on foot. So Postmates doesn't really care how you get the order to them as long as you get it to them. As you saw, bike and foot was unavailable for my location for whatever reason. Blitz notifications, you could turn them on and off. That just means that certain times you can get a little bit higher of a payout. Whenever that's on the certain pickup, you'll see a little symbol there. This is the newsroom. It'll pretty much tell you different information about how to pick up different orders and just little like advertisements and telling you how to do things and the perks and stuff like that. So if you have any questions, you could check there. Now, since this is pre-recorded, I'm just trying to tell you everything that I see here. Of course, don't pay attention to any of that. I don't know what I clicked on. Now, your earnings, this is going to show you everything that you've earned. So, as you can see, the different places that I went to go and pick up different things. Kroger, I got $5.85 for that delivery, and the tips are pending. Now, Forever Vapes, that was a cancellation because they wanted me to go and pick up vape juice for them. But Postmates has a strict rule where you cannot pick up any age-restricted items. And Denny's, as you saw, there was that symbol there. That means that was the 1.5 activation on that one. All of these are when it's green, that means that they've paid me for them already. Now, that one was the biggest tip I had right there. $22.53. Underneath, that's your tips. So all those are paid for already. Some of them still say pending and I haven't gotten anything back for them, so I'm just assuming they're zero. There's some cancellations, and then payouts and tips. Buffalo Wild Wings is usually a pretty good one, although sometimes you have to wait there for like a half an hour for them to be ready, because you need to order it and have to sit there and wait for them to make it and everything. Now, whereas the other ones you could see, $4.10 is like the minimum you'll get paid for delivery, and like it depends on the mileage and how long you wait. So you'll get paid for sitting there and waiting for the order to be made, and you'll also get paid for the mileage that you have to drive between the pickup location and the customer's drop-off location. Now sometimes I think what happened there was the screen like froze, like it wouldn't let me scroll up or down. That's one of the glitches in the app that I will get to later. But when you're scrolling up and down, you could see every payout that you had since you started. It's of course going to be a long list for me because I've been doing Postmates for the last 2 months. So this is every delivery I've done. It shows you the date, it shows you the time, where you picked up at, but it will not show you, of course, the name of the person or their address for security reasons. That's another good tip I got right there, $15.97 for that place. Roma's Pizza, $17.92 that night. Was a late night. I had to wait there a long time, plus that little symbol right there for extra money. That was a good payout right there. And I'll get into late night deliveries later on. And see, as you can see, that's just my whole like history of all the deliveries I've done so far. And it's actually pretty good for a little side job to earn extra money. I'm in the middle of building a new computer right now, so I'm using all this money to put towards it. Now, these are your deposits in your bank account. So, $82.65 is what I got deposited on March 30th, and right there it tells you everything that you got paid for. Right there, the Stripe fee, that 15 cents, they charge you 15 cents every time they direct deposit into your account. So every time you're going to get a payout, they're going to take 15 cents to direct deposit it for you. But those are all the deliveries I did in that time frame. So that's what the $82 is coming from. And those are all the other days I got deposits. So on that day, I got a certain amount of money. So if you do it consistently, you'll get a deposit every day. Now that day, I think I only did one delivery, or it was a bad day, or it just was going too slow. So I just decided to give up and go home, or I wasn't feeling good. I don't remember. But these are all the different deposits you can get. So if you do it consistently, they deposit for you like 3 or 4 business days after you do it. So if you worked on February 19th, you'll have to wait till like the 23rd to get your money. Now here was a $427 deposit. That was when I first got started. I had worked probably every single day for about a week and a half. So, and I was waiting for them to, I was waiting for my bank to confirm the direct deposit, like approve it or whatever. Like they were trying to make sure my bank was legitimate, so I had to wait like a week and a half for that. So once it finally went through, they finally gave me my first deposit, and it was a build up to like $427. So that was a good deposit, and I went out and bought like half of my computer parts with that right there. So that's Postmates, and up there's a little tick right there that you could go online, and that means that you'll start receiving job notifications. If you want to take a break, you just uncheck that and you'll go offline and you won't receive anything. I was going to sit there and wait till a request came in, but I think it would have been too difficult to try to like turn on the recorder or show you what it would look like, and then it would have like probably messed up. I probably would have lost it. So at that time, I was just on break. I was just got done eating lunch or whatever, something like that. Now this is Uber Eats. Uber Eats is a little bit different, but it's similar. So you see the hotspots there. Different areas are outlined with the different multipliers right there. You see 1.3 and 1.4. One thing I like about Uber is that it shows you the times right there from 6 to 9 p.m. So they tell you that from that time frame, that's what that multiplier is going to be activated for that area. So the little blue dot right there in the center, that's where you currently are on the map. That's your current location. So of course I drove to the 1.5 area because you get the boost that's higher for that area. So when you click on music, it takes you to Pandora. I guess if you have a Pandora account, you can play music, I guess, through your phone. And I'll get into a little bit more about that later. That's for if you are driving people around, but this, I was strictly doing Uber Eats. So I didn't want to drive strangers around. I chose to do Uber Eats instead. And to do Uber Eats, you have to go directly to their company office, and they have to set up your account to strictly do Uber Eats only and not drive people around. This tells you information about the different booths and kind of how that other screen was, like the news feed on Postmates. That just gives you different little information about stuff. Now your earnings are showed on this screen. This is actually one thing I like better about Uber, how they show the differences here. But so you could see the now notice the Uber fee right there, how it says minus $27.58. I'll get into a little bit more about that later, but just remember that the Uber fee, when I talk about that later, the fare and then the boost. So you see the boost, that's that multiplier, that 1.5 multiplier for that area. That's how much extra money you get for delivering in that area. But then notice the Uber fee underneath that. And then those are the payouts I got for those days. And then it gives you a chart for the whole week. It tells you how much you earned on that day. And then those are the times you delivered for and how much you got paid for each one. Now see, that's one single delivery right there. So their minimum fare is $4.90. But then look at the Uber fee is $172 that they take from you. So you only get a total of $318 for one whole delivery. So that includes driving to the location, picking up the food, and then driving to their house. So they were only like about a little more than a half mile away. So I guess that's why it was so low. But if you think about having to go and, like gas-wise, that's probably like $3 in gas to go to the store, turn off your vehicle, and then start it back up when you leave, and then drive to their house. Like that's, I just don't see how that's worth it. Now that one was almost 10 miles away. That one I got paid $10.80, so that was a little bit better. But then again, look at the boost. I got $5.54, but then they took $5.81 back away from me. So Uber takes a bigger fee away from you, so it's like you're not even getting the boost at all. So you almost have to be in a boost area to even make up that fee that they take away from you. Otherwise, they're cutting into your $11, and that's not worth it. So that is a huge con that I will talk about later of Uber Eats that I do not like at all. And I will compare them to Postmates later on about that too. But yeah, if you can see on the map there, that's like a good 10 miles apart. I don't know how they're calculating the mileage, if they calculate how I'm driving, like the route that I'm taking, or if they are calculating it by themselves between the drop-off and start-off location on that blue line. I don't know how they're calculating it. But on this delivery, I got a 98-cent boost, and they took more away from that. So most of the time, they take away more money than what the boost even gives you. As you can see there, the 223, and I only got 147 for a boost. So I got 414, so it's like their minimum 490 payout as opposed to Postmates 410 payout. they're pretty much the same on their minimum payout there. This is your ratings. Now, as you can see on the top there, it says rides. That's if you're giving people rides, which I'm not. So if you go over to delivery, it'll give you your, since I've only been doing Uber for probably about 1 or 2 weeks now. So I guess you only get your satisfaction after you complete, like, I want to say it was like 500 deliveries, something ridiculous like that. I don't remember how much, but now if you look under delivery feedback, I have one reported issue. Now it says, when people request an Uber delivery, they're paying for items to be brought all the way to their door. While some people might not mind, other customers may give negative ratings if you ask them to come outside to pick up their items at your vehicle. Top-rated delivery partners find a place to park their car before bringing items up to the customer's door. So, I think I remember who might have done this. There is one guy who, at this, I think it was like 1 a.m., so I went to these apartments that most of them have like a gate that you can't get in, and he gave me an apartment number or something like that. But when you're in a bad area of Houston at 1 a.m. in the morning, where you see bums sleeping out on the street, and I'm not trying to say that to offend anyone, but when you have, I guess homeless people would be the nicer term, but when you see homeless people sleeping out on the street and there's people that come up to your car at red lights begging you for money, I prefer not to get out of my car and go up to their door and through an apartment that I don't know very well and doesn't look like a good apartment to be walking through, especially alone. So that's why I think I just texted him and said, hey, I'm out here by the gate, and he said, okay, cool, I'm coming. And so it took him a couple minutes, and he came right out to the car, and I gave it to him and said thank you, and here you go. So that's the only guy I think could have said that. So now the video from my phone is starting over again and re-looping. So I'm going to get into the pros and cons, while if there's anything you missed, you can look at that video from my phone again. So I'm going to do the pros and cons of Uber Eats, and then I will do Postmates, and then I will tell you about the similarities between both of them. So with Uber Eats, a pro would be that when you get to the pickup location, the orders are already prepaid and ready for you. There's no waiting. You just go in there, you tell them the order number or the name of the person you are picking up for, and it's ready right there on the counter. You just grab it and go. So there's no waiting for that. You're in and out very quickly. Another pro is that with Uber Eats, and sometimes with Postmates too, but with Uber Eats, more people will come and greet you outside of their house. Like, they're already there waiting right when you turn down their street. And I'm pretty sure, now I've never had a delivery before, but I'm pretty sure it's because they can see on the map where you are. Since your phone has GPS and everything like that, they can see on the map what street you're on, how close you are. They get a notification when you're really close. So they pretty much, most of the time, except for that one time I was telling you about, that guy, I texted him to come out. Most of the time, they are out there at the curb, and you just drive up, hand it to them, and you don't even have to get out of the car. Now, I'm not trying to sound lazy. I'll admit I am pretty lazy, but that's usually a quick, easy delivery when you just drive up to the curb, hand it to them through the window, and then you could go on to the next one. Another pro is with Uber Eats is sometimes you'll get 2 pickups at the same location. So you accept the request, and then it will send you another notification saying there is 2 pickups at the location, but you have to make sure you accept both of them, because they give you like a 30-second time window. So if you don't accept it right away, then you lose out on it, and it could go to somebody else. But I think they like to set it up that way to where there's 2 pickups from 2 different people at the same location. So when you get there, it'll give you the 2 different names and the 2 different order numbers. Sometimes the people will ask you to show you their phone so that they can verify that it's the right person picking it up. And so then, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. So then you go and pick up both orders, and then it will tell you which one to deliver to first. And they're pretty good about sending you like in the right direction. So let's say one's 3 miles away and the other one's like 7 miles away. They're pretty good at sending you to the closest one first, like in order. So then you just go and deliver them like one after the other, and that works out pretty good. Another pro with Uber Eats is with the Uber Eats app, it works better and it runs better on your phone. At least my phone, it does. And I'll get into how it works with Postmates. So the app works better and runs better, at least on my phone. I have an HTC One M8. Recently it has been slowing down a little bit. I don't know why. It's been a little bit laggish and slow, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But at least with this app, it works better on my phone than Postmates does. The last pro that I could think of with Uber Eats is it seems to favor the more wealthy people. And what I mean by that is the people that live in nicer houses and drive expensive cars like Mercedes and everything like that. They seem to be the people that use Uber Eats the most. And the reason that could be a pro is that when the more wealthy the people are, the more willing they might be to tip you. And now on that same thought, going into a con with Uber Eats is people will rarely tip you at all on this company, because it's set up differently. With Uber Eats, you have to rely on tips in person with cash, and with Postmates, you get tips directly through the app. So with Uber Eats, I probably have maybe only got 3 or 4 cash tips out of like, I want to say 10 or 15 deliveries. So it's not good when it comes to tips on Uber Eats at all, because you have to rely on them giving you cash, and a lot of people don't have cash. That's why Postmates is easier, because they could tip you right on the app, straight from their card. So sorry, my dogs are distracting me here. So yeah, people will rarely tip you in person with Uber Eats. Another con for Uber Eats is the request alert isn't very loud at all. So let me see if I can show you on my phone. This isn't going to be what it sounds like, but I'm going to show you an example of about how loud this is. So this is just going to be the tone for when you go online, but it's similar to this tone, and it just repeats a couple of times. So see if you can listen to this. So if you listen to that, in person, so I just went online and offline again. In person, it doesn't sound that loud at all. Especially if you're driving on the road and you have the radio on or you have the windows down, like it's very easy to miss it. And another thing I don't have written down here at all is you have to be very careful when accepting these requests, especially when you're driving. If you're on the freeway or if you're on a busy street, it could be very difficult to try to accept these requests when you're driving, so you have to be very careful. So I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but that's why it could be helpful to have a second person with you so they could accept it for you on your phone. Because you do not want to try to do that when you're driving, because it's like worse than texting. You have to divert your attention to your phone. You have to unlock your phone, wait till the app loads up, wait till the notification pops up, and then accept it. And that could take like a matter of 10 seconds, and you do not want to try to do that when you're driving. So the request alert isn't very loud for Uber Eats at all. And then another con for Uber Eats is that people expect higher of you. And what I mean by that is, since it falls into the category of more wealthy people use the app, so they when they order Uber Eats, it's kind of like they want you to, how do I say this? They want you to be more presentable. So if you like show up and your car is dirty, or you're not dressed in very good clothes, or your hair is a mess, like, you know what I'm saying? Like they want you to be presentable, look like you are good enough to handle, because you're handling their food. Like, would you want somebody to show up right by the curb or knock on your door that just looks a mess? Like, I kind of get that. So they just expect higher of you, and that falls like under the ratings. So you could get a bad mark on your ratings with Uber Eats. So since I've only been doing it like for a week or so, that's the one complaint I got, was not delivering to the door. So I'm guessing that if you don't do it if you don't treat it with more respect, or have respect about how you're dressed or how you look or how you act, like, I guess that's what I'm trying to say about that. And then another con that I guess it's not too bad of a con, but you have to wait a few minutes to find out what your payment is for your delivery. With Postmates, you get it right away. With Uber Eats, you have to wait a minute, because it will say processing your last payment or processing your last delivery. So you have to wait a few minutes to even go on there to see what you even earned for that delivery or not. And then another con is, as you just saw and as I just mentioned, people can leave you commented reviews. So I'm not sure if the next delivery person can see those reviews or not, especially the one about delivering to the door. I'm not quite sure if they can see that or not, but people can leave those reviews on you, and I think if you like get under 85% or something, you might like get fired and not be able to do it anymore. I'm not quite sure how it works. And then, just like I talked about earlier, also another con is that Uber takes any boost amount you might get. So those boost areas almost don't matter, but in a way you kind of have to be in those areas because you have to make up what they're taking from you. So if you don't get those boost amounts and you're delivering in an area that doesn't even have it, they're going to be taking out of your profit. So those boost amounts almost save you from what they're taking. Now, they are taking more than you're getting from the boost amount, as you could actually see right here in the video. It just happens to be there. Again, the Uber fee $5.81 and then the boost amount $5.54. So they're still taking a little bit more than your boost amount. So the boost amounts you kind of need to get so they don't cut into your profit. And also on that same note, another con is, I believe I read that Uber takes a huge cut of about 35%. So I think that's how they're calculating it. So the delivery is like 30, so whatever the fee is like 35%. I think that's what I read. So that's a really big con that I do not like about Uber Eats at all. Another con is, well, it's not a con for everybody that wants to use the app. They're just being thorough, is that they want to get all the info on you and your vehicle info. So This is just compared to Postmates. So they want your, just like an actual job would, they want your social security number, they want your driver's license number, you have to have a current Texas license or whatever state that you're in. They want your vehicle VIN number, your license plate, the color of the vehicle, the year of the vehicle, everything about the vehicle, and everything about you, just like a real job would. But with Postmates, they just want, now that's one of the pros of Postmates, is they only require your social security number for a background check, and that's it. And that's how easy it is to get into Postmates. Now, of course, I passed my background checks. I don't have any kind of a record, but you just give them your social security number. Within a week, they tell you if you're good or not, and it was that easy. With Uber Eats, it still took about a week, but you have to give them all your info, and once you pass the background check and everything, you're still good, but it's just a little bit more like a longer of a process. And then the last con for Uber Eats is both companies will give you this black hot and cold bag to deliver the food in. With Uber Eats, they want to charge you $7 to be taken out of your profit on your first payday. They want to charge you $7 to have that bag delivered to you in the mail. Now, each bag is different from each company. With Uber Eats, the bag seems to be cheaper made, like the stitching is already coming apart on the top, like by the zipper somewhere. However, it is like insulated with foil. But with Postmates, their bag seems to be more better made. It's a little bit bigger, and it has their company logo on it, like it says Postmates with their logo on the side. Uber Eats, the bag is just plain black. But Postmates bag seems to be a little bit more better made, but it is not insulated with the black foil. It's just the same material inside and out. And I will jump right into, on that same note, with Postmates, with their bag, they will just mail it straight to you. They don't charge you at all. And they also, along with that, they will send you their credit card along with instructions on how to activate it. And I will get into that a little bit later. But now I'm going to jump into the pros and cons of Postmates. Now with Postmates, at least half of the people will tip you. So now, how I mentioned with Uber Eats, how people rarely will tip you. With Postmates, it's easier because they tip you right on the app, right there. They don't have to have cash on hand. So Postmates, they'll tip you. At least half of the people will tip you, even if it's just like $1 or $2. At least it's something. Tips do really help you out a lot. As you can see earlier, how I showed you that $22 tip, that was the biggest tip I've ever got, and it was with Postmates. So, and then another pro with sorry, I can't talk. Another pro with Postmates is that the request alert is loud and it will repeat itself, and it gives you more time to accept it. So the request alert is kind of like a dinging sound. So it'll, once you get the alert, it'll go ding, 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 and then it will repeat like 2 or 3 times until you accept it or skip it. And it's pretty loud. Like, I could hear it through the radio, I could hear it through the windows being down, and it gives you time to pull over and accept it and look at it. As with Uber, how I mentioned how it's pretty quiet. It only gives you about 30 seconds to accept it, otherwise you lose it, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of like Postmates better, is that alert. And another pro with Postmates is they will tell you how much you get paid right away. So you don't have to wait a few minutes. As soon as you hit complete delivery, it'll tell you, okay, you've earned this much. You've earned $5.85, as you can see right there on the screen. And then I'll get into the con about the tips a little bit later. And then I've already mentioned this, but another pro with Postmates is that I've had 4 good tips already so far, and they've all been over $10. So that $22 amount was one of them. Then I got a $16 one, $14 one and a $12 one. So in my 2 months of working with Postmates, I've gotten 4 good tips that were over $10. And one of them, I think it has to do with, like, of course, what neighborhood they live in. Again, like the wealthy people. With Postmates, it's kind of half and half. Sometimes you can deliver to the wealthy people that live in nice houses and drive nice cars, but the other half of the times it could be like really bad looking neighborhoods in these slummy houses and apartments and stuff like that. So it's kind of half and half on that, but if you get a good house in a good neighborhood, then you could expect a good tip from them. I think there was only once or twice where I did deliver to a house like that, and I only got like a $3 or $5 tip. And of course, you want to get the biggest tip as possible. But this one lady I delivered to, she ordered $83 worth of food from this Mexican place. I guess it was for her whole family, and she was kind of rude to me, like, I don't know, she came off as this person that just wanted to take her food and shut the door. Like, I don't even remember if she said thanks or not, but she just seemed rude. She didn't seem like she wanted to tip or not. Like, I wasn't even sure I was going to get a tip from her. But then when the tip finally came in, I looked at it and it said $14, and I was shocked. I was like, okay, wow, I guess she did. Like, maybe she was just having a bad day. I don't know. Another pro with Postmates is it gives you an option to choose your transportation, as you saw on the screen. So you can pick what kind of vehicle, and I always have it on car. I think there was an option for like a van or a box truck. So I'm not sure if they would have you go and pick up something like, I don't think they would have you pick up like an appliance or something big that requires a box truck, but I'm not sure because I've never done that. But I don't know what other option they would have to let you choose like a vehicle that big to deliver with. And then I've already said that it requires you to, it only requires a social security number for a background check. And then I already talked about that they'll mail you your bag for free. And let's see. Now I'm going to get into the cons for Postmates. Now the app for Postmates can be glitchy and sometimes you need to restart it. Now recently it hasn't been like that, but there was a time when, and it probably will still happen, is that when I showed you on the screen that the screen froze and I had to like go out and go back into my my deliveries, my earnings, to scroll down the list again. So sometimes it freezes and you have to go back out of that screen and then go back into it. And then another time that it can be glitchy is when you're looking at the map and it shows the hotspots, the red squares. There's been times when I was probably like 5 miles away from a hotspot, and I drove all the way to the hotspot. It showed me in the hotspot, and I probably sat there for a good 20 minutes. Then I looked at the map again, and then the hotspot was completely gone, and it had moved like 10 miles away. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I wasted the gas to drive 5 miles to this hotspot so I could get a better chance for delivery, and then it just moves on me. Like, in the beginning, it didn't used to be that. It would stay in one spot, or it would update frequently to let you know, okay, it's moving. But it did not update very well, and I drove 5 miles for nothing, and then I had to drive like 5 to 10 miles in the opposite direction where I just came from to get back to the hotspot. So, one reason, or one thing I found out how to better handle that is to restart the app. So it does help to restart your phone too, but restarting the app is just quicker. So you go into you manage your apps, you click on the app, and you hit force stop. It's going to tell you it may cause it to misbehave or whatever. You just hit OK. So once you got to force stop it, and then you got to click on the app and start it up again. And then it should like update and refresh the hotspots. And they might move, they might not, you never know. The cutoff time Like the cutoff time for when the hotspots seem to disappear is probably around 2 a.m. At least in Houston it is. So the good times, I forgot to actually write this down to mention it, but there are good times such as the lunch hours and the dinner hours. Like the lunch rush is like 1 to 3, I think. And then the dinner hours or the dinner rush is 5:30 to 8:30. So that's the most popular times that they say you are most likely to get a request. But I have gotten requests all the way up till 2 a.m., mostly because in Houston there is a lot of colleges around here, and all the college students stay up that late. And there was one night where there's a Whataburger like 2 miles away from a college, and I probably went back and forth between the college and the Whataburger like at least 10 times in a row. Now, you would think that it would be easier to let them all come in and do one big order at Whataburger and then drop it all off. That is the easier thing to do, but you get paid for the mileage and for waiting. So you actually earn more when you drive back and forth to go to Whataburger and then drop it off at the college, because you get paid for mileage, you get paid for waiting, and you just get more money that way. And they don't really like set it up that way how Uber does, where you get 2 pickups at one location. Now you can get when you're in the middle of, like, after you've picked it up and you're about to drop off, you can get another request and you can accept it, and that will just line right up after you drop it off. You go to the next request, but they don't set it up like Uber does, where you can have 2 pickups at one location. But now the college students over here in Houston, they stay up till like 2 a.m. So although I do get a lot of deliveries with them, they're college students, so they don't tip that much. So it's kind of like 50-50 again. Like you get a lot of deliveries, yeah, but because it's only 2 miles apart, you may only get the minimum of $4.10 for each delivery. But when you do that like 10 times in a row, that could add up. That's $40 right there. So but yeah, the cutoff time does seem to be around 2 a.m. Sometimes it can be risky to stay out that late. There are some bad neighborhoods around here. There has been one scary incident that I had at one drop-off, which I will save for another time. If you want to hear it, you could just comment or like on the video. I'm going to try to cut this short. I'm going to try to get through the similarities very quickly here, because I am running out of time. Now with another con with Postmates is you will almost always have to go to their door. Again, that's kind of the laziness coming out of me, but it's kind of like compared to Uber, a lot of people don't really wait out at the curb for you. They don't. I think they can still see that you're coming, so some of them do come out and wait, but most of the time you do have to go to their door, and it's kind of tedious when you have to park your car, and especially if they live in apartments and you gotta like walk up the stairs, go search for their apartments, find the right building, drive around their apartment complex, and that part is a real pain in the butt. But sometimes when you do it that way, they'll be more likely to give you a tip. So that's kind of a 50-50 right there too. Now with Postmates, with your tips, it will take up to 24 hours to see what you got for your tips. So you have to wait. If you got deliveries between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. that night, you have to wait till 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. the next night to even see what you got for a tip. Now, sometimes some of them will still say pending, even though it's after 24 hours, and it could take up to another day or two to even see that. Sometimes you will get a tip, sometimes you won't. As I showed and mentioned earlier in the video, there was ones like 2 or 3 weeks that still say pending, and I think it's just a glitch that obviously I probably didn't get a tip from them. So another con for Postmates is it seems to be more bad neighborhoods, as I mentioned before. Another con is that sometimes you have to pay with their credit card. Now, as I mentioned before, when they mail you your bag, with Postmates, they will give you their company credit card. With Uber Eats, you don't have to deal with a credit card. It's already prepaid. You just take it and go. With Postmates, half the time you pay with their credit card. So they already... So the credit card kind of works how... It's like a prepaid card. So you go to the location... Sometimes the food's ready, sometimes it's not. You got to sit there and wait 20 to 30 minutes or however long it takes. But you do get paid for like sitting there and waiting. I think like 12 cents a minute, even though that's not that much. So you do, you swipe the card and pay for it, and then on the app you enter in how much the amount cost, and then you take a picture of the receipt. You need to keep that receipt and take a picture of it so you can prove to Postmates that that is how much it cost and that's what all the money went to. So that's how they prove that you didn't go in and buy a sandwich there for yourself and keep it for yourself. So that's a little bit of an extra step with Postmates that is kind of a pain to have to deal with, because you got to stop what you're doing and type in the amount that it cost and get the receipt. And sometimes it can be difficult if the receipt got wet, or the company, when they printed out the receipt, you know, sometimes how it's faded, it could be hard to read sometimes. So I always take a picture of the receipt, put in the amount, put the receipt in the bag, put that bag in the black bag to keep the food hot or cold or whatever it is, and then go and drop it off to deliver it. And then the last con, which I've already mentioned, is that you can wait up to about an hour for the food to be ready. On Super Bowl Sunday, that was a good day because, of course, I had lots of deliveries. But I don't know if this certain Pizza Hut location that I went to didn't have delivery drivers, but I went to a Pizza Hut on Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know how many of you have went to a Pizza Hut location that is like in a strip mall, but they are rather small. You can only fit about 10 people in that building, or in that one location. But it was, I want to say, just a few blocks from the Super Bowl arena, because it was here in Houston. But it was so busy there. Like, luckily I got in right when there was nobody there and I made my order. But apparently other people made their orders before me, and I probably did sit there for exactly an hour at least, waiting for the pizza. There were so many people standing there. They even put a paper on the door that said, please, maximum 5 people in the lobby, and that didn't help because there was at least 20 or 30 people in there, when there could only fit about 10 people standing in there. But they were all crowded in there. There was only 4 chairs to sit in. Luckily, I got one of them because I was one of the first ones in. But there was people standing all around me. They were standing up against me. They were up against the walls. They were standing in a circle in line. Like, it was so hectic, and it was like miserable to sit there on their hard chairs, because you know how Pizza Hut has those black chairs that aren't very comfortable, and sit there and wait for an hour. And I'm not typically a person that gets claustrophobic, but when you gotta sit there in an hour in a lobby full of like 50 people that are all standing around you, it gets claustrophobic. So by the time I finally got it and dropped it off, I don't remember what I got paid for that one. I want to say like $15. And I think that was waiting time, but you get paid more when you have to drive, like, let's say 10 miles to go drop it off. So you get paid more for mileage. I think you get paid 50 cents a mile to drop it off, but only like 12 cents a minute for waiting. So if I would have had to drive 10 miles to drop it off, I probably would have got like $30 for that one. But that's just how much I got paid for that one. So I'm going to try to get through the similarities here very quick because I'm running out of time. So for both of them, of course, I've mentioned the tips can be very helpful. Tips help you out a lot. They make up for the low price that it seems like. It already seems like you don't get very much for delivery anyway. And the apps are easy to use and understand for both of them. Now, of course, I've already mentioned how each one can be, or Postmates can be glitchy, and Uber Eats, the app runs really good. They both give a request sound to notify you of an available job in the area. They both deposit the money into your bank account. They both give an accurate map location and addresses. So if you're trying to look for the address and the GPS says you're there, you can't find it, you look on the map, it'll show the blue dot where you are, and it'll pinpoint exactly which house it is. Then you go up and look at that house, and then you can see the address very faded on the building. And then that brings me to my next one, is you probably should bring a flashlight to find the address. And although your phone could be used as a flashlight, it's better to have a spotlight flashlight, particularly like one of those mag lights where you can adjust it to a beam or a spotlight. I picked up a flashlight at Walmart for $1.88. It is Ozark Trail brand. It's right next to the little 99-cent flashlights that fit in the palm of your hand. It's metal. It's really good durability. It's really bright LED. It's like 80 lumens, and it's like a spotlight. It works perfectly. It's a lot better than the $20 or $30 mag light that I have that's kind of like dim compared to that, but it works really good. You don't even have to get out of your car, although you do have to be careful when you're shining a really bright LED light at houses to find an address in the middle of the night. You don't want to shine it in their windows. But it is very handy to have a little flashlight so you could shine it on the wall or the curb or the mailbox so that you could find the exact address and make sure you deliver it to the right person. They both give you an option to navigate to the address straight from the app on your phone using your phone's GPS. However, I prefer to use my own GPS separately because that brings me to the next one, is that it can drain your phone's battery. So you need to make sure that you have your charger handy in the car for your phone and your GPS, because the app's using it like all day, it could drain your battery a lot. So you need to make sure you have your charger. And then depending on your vehicle, this type of jobs and deliveries, as expected, can suck up a lot of gas. Working from probably like 5:30 till 2 a.m. or however long it is, I've probably went through a half tank of gas, depending on how many deliveries you get. And I have a 2007 Ford Edge, so it's a small SUV. However, it does use up a lot of gas when you're just driving through the city, doing a lot of deliveries, getting in and out, starting and stopping the engine. So it can use up a lot of gas. Luckily, the deposits you get can make up for the gas. Here in Houston, the gas is only average about $1.99 per gallon, so it only takes about $25 to $30 to fill up the tank, which isn't that bad compared to California, where I'm from, where it was like $3 or $4 a gallon when I left. But it only takes about $25 to $30 to fill up my tank, and I at least get a $30 deposit almost every day. Sometimes 50, sometimes 80, so it does pay you back for the gas. However, it does cut into your profit sometimes too. They both require a background check, which I've already mentioned. And then for both of them, parking can be a major headache, especially in downtown area where they require like meters. It can be hard to find parking, and then especially all those one-way streets downtown, and especially at expensive hotels. I did one a couple nights ago where I delivered to this expensive hotel called Four Seasons. I drove up to the valet area. I parked off to the side, away from the door, not even in the way. This guy came up thinking I was at valet, or wanting to do valet, and I'm like, I'm just here to deliver food. I was about to walk in the door, and he's like, okay, give me your keys. And I'm like, why? Well, I'm not giving you my keys. And he's like, because I have to move your car over there around the corner. And I'm like, no. And he's like, yeah, you can't park here. You got to move around the corner. So I had to go and park it around the corner on a turn lane in a one-way downtown street with the flashers on, and then go up to the hotel and hope that I didn't get a ticket or anything. Like, parking is really stressful, and I'll have to make a separate video sometimes about some stories of these deliveries if anybody wants to see them. Another thing is, as I already mentioned, it is good to have somebody along with you, not only for safety and security, but to work the phone if you're too busy driving, and also just to be there, so just to have company, you know. So it's good to have somebody along with you. Uber says that they don't mind if you have somebody along with you, as long as you are the one going and getting the deliveries. It has to be you. So, and last but not least is, so far they both seem to pay about the same amount, even though Uber Eats does take out that 35% cuts. I've compared the deposit amounts and the delivery amounts for each one, and they both seem to be about the same. So I don't know how it works out that way, but they both seem to pay about the same. But however, I am doing both of them now. So I turn on both apps. I turn on Uber Eats, I turn on Postmates. When I get a request for one, I accept it, and then I go and turn the other one off. I turn it offline. So it doubles your chances of getting requests. You make more money that way. You'll get double deposits, more payouts, better chances for tips. I haven't really quite decided which one I like better, since I've only done Uber Eats for about 1 or 2 weeks. I've done Postmates for 2 months. So far, I am kind of leaning better towards leaning towards Postmates better because of the tips. You have more chances of tips. And the payouts, that's another thing I forgot to mention. With Uber Eats, your payouts are once a week. But with Postmates, you can get deposits every day. So with Uber Eats, you have to wait. I think their pay period is every Thursday or every Friday. So you can get a payout every Thursday or Friday, but you can also rack up $100 or $200 amount every week, depending on how often you deliver. So you can get a bigger deposit once a week, or you can get $40 or $30 deposits every day. So those are the two differences between those. But anyway, that is going to be the end of the video. Go ahead and comment, like, share with everybody who you think might be interested in doing this kind of delivery. I might make another video later on about any stories that I may have doing these different deliveries. As of right now, that will be the end of the video. I'm sorry it took so long, but I feel like it's justified because of how much information I wanted to give people who wanted to do this kind of job. I wanted to show the pros and cons of each company and what my experiences have been like for anybody that wants to do this. So that will be that will be the end of the video, and thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you on the next video.